In terms of this next one, Barry, I'd let you introduce this one of our favorite companies, Google.
Yeah, so Google, of course, is the big behemoth. It is the company that controls everything. And if we look back at like our generation, I would argue it's probably the strongest company we've ever seen formed, right? Right from the beginning, from just a lowly search engine to this giant company today that's now known as Alphabet, which is the holding company of all of their subsidiaries. And it's really been a huge success story, and it's kind of kickstarted the tech revolution in the world. And this week, there was a very interesting thing that happened. The two co-founders, the two like old honchos, the guys who were there right from the very beginning, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, have stepped down from Alphabet and are now going to stay in a board capacity, but not in a day-to-day running of the business. So this change is mostly cosmetic because these two guys actually stepped away from most of the day-to-day stuff a while ago with the new CEO that was installed a few years ago. And so this is simply a move from their part to kind of move into the next chapter of their life. And I think it's a huge thing to step away from a baby like that you've built over the last 20 years. And it's become so globally influential. And so for them stepping down, it must have been a hell of a difficult decision. And it's going to certainly change the way that Google looks at itself. If we look at the way that Apple struggled after Steve Jobs left and they try to redefine their identity and redefine why they exist and what they're trying to do, Google and Alphabet are going to have to do the same thing. And so it's been interesting to see what happens with the new management that gets put in place and see what kind of involvement these guys have as they've stepped out of the limelight per se and start to look forward as to what they're going to do next in their careers.
Yeah, I actually missed this group restructuring, and it actually basically came to my attention when I clicked on the link that you had in our shared doc. But yeah, basically, the reasoning I found really funny, and obviously not just to kind of strip away from the serious bits, where Alphabet, the holding company, was established to have obviously Google as the main bet, but the others as their other bets, which I thought quite a clever way of coming to that name. But yeah, I mean, just in terms of redefining their identity and all that kind of thing, this current CEO has seen profits soar under his reign, and certainly I think the stock market definitely reacting positively. I think the basically the share prices went up by I think 5%. I may be off on that, but yeah, I mean, certainly you're going to have to, as you say, decide on how the identity changes from here. But I mean, obviously, this seems to be a very capable CEO. I think as the two co-founders have detailed it in this particular article, Google has grown to be what they call sort of 21-year-old adult, and it's now time to leave the nest, as they put it. So this, in their mind, seems to be the natural move of progression for the company, and it'll certainly be interesting to see what happens next for Google.
Yeah, so one more thing I wanted to add is that I think this is going to be a pivot point for Google. I kind of see Google's business model as being under serious threat right now because of a lot of the privacy concerns, a lot of the looking at advertising and how that's impacting media and how it's impacting our thoughts and how we'd make our decisions. And so Google, in its current form, is going to have to change over the next 10 or 20 years. And also, as it starts to get labeled as a monopoly and starts to get increasing pressure from regulators, the current CEO is going to have to figure out how do you make Google the next survive as the giant behemoth for the next 10, 20, 50 years. And so I think we're going to look back at this point in time, like you say, it's now 21, it's now coming into, it has to be an adult now and has to really get into the world and really show what it's worth. It's going to have to adapt and pivot, and I think Google has done very well in the past at doing that, but it's going to have to continue to do that as there's increasing pressure from regulators, from governments, and from the public. So I think it's an interesting time. I think we're going to look back on this day as an interesting pivot moment in the company. Is it going to go the way of Kodak? Is it going to struggle to adapt its business model and move into the new world? Or is it going to find a new way to reinvent itself once again and remain the huge influential company that it is?
Yeah, so I mean, that's certainly going to be interesting to see, and just great that we are part of history, and we'll look back at this point in time, and let's see what happens with them. Across the pond.